Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
The Print Off the Cuff, presented by IIFL Wealth and Asset Management, corporate partner AU Small Finance Bank, in association with global insurance brokers, airline partner SpiceJet, in alliance with Indraprasth Apollo Hospitals.
Farming, farmers, farm incomes, farm laws. The entire country is talking about these issues now. Now, a lot of the talk is between politicians, between leaders of one kind or the other, and also between several leaders of farmers and farmers' unions. Behind this also, some people want to bring farmers close to the markets. Some people, particularly on the farmer side, are suspicious of that because they see the market as some evil Adani cartel which will come and vacuum clean the partners. So, in Off the Cuff today, we have somebody whose mentor and whose company have done precisely this. That is, bring farmers close to the market, or marry the farmers to the market, or hitch the farmers' wagon to the engine of the market, or farmers' engine to the wagon of the market, whichever way you put it. So I have Mr. R.S. Sodhi, the big boss of Amul. You will see the full name of the company on the screen. But Sodhi Saab, welcome to Off the Cuff. बड़ी बहुत डिमांड है आजकल क्योंकि थोड़ी डिमांड सारे समझते रहे your language, not just I mean language literally also because a lot of the anger is in Punjab, but also because you came from the market and you reached out to the farmers and you've done it without any suspicion but by building trust. So tell us a little bit about how that is done.
Well, Shekhar ji, thank you very much. Let me tell you, I'm not a boss. मैं तो 36 लाख किसानों का नौकर हूँ पिछले 38 सालों से. And like you said, everybody is talking farmer, farm law, etc. I'm extremely happy that media, I mean, you are the boss of media. Last 1 month, they're talking now more of reality of India, farmers, farm laws, whatever. I'm not going to plus or minus that. Otherwise, 2 months media was talking about one fellow society in Bombay and nothing about farmers, nothing that.
That's
So,
right.
okay, I think you want to know about my journey, about me.
Yes.
Well, Shekhar ji, I was born in a small village in Punjab in the district Firozpur. So during my childhood, we used to do farming. I used to do right from during our summer vacation, wheat harvesting to the paddy and the transplantation, and then carrying my wheat or paddy produced to the mandis that time, just about 5-6 kilometers from the village. So beginning that, then I did my schooling from Delhi Government School, then did my agriculture engineering from Udaipur, and then 2 years post-graduation in at Institute of Rural Management, Anand in 1982, which Dr. Verghese Kurian started to produce rural managers. So this is the short journey. And last 38, 39 years, I am working with this farmers-owned organization, which is in the short name is Amul, but long name is Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation Limited. So this in short about
GCMMF. So how does a rural manager differ from any other manager?
Totally, I mean, the mentality is different. You see, rural manager has to ensure that food producer, he gets a very stable and remunerative price for his produce or the service. Okay? Because then only he'll be encouraged to produce more, invest more in this food or his crop or any other produce. Commercial manager is directly opposite. He'd like to buy food which is mostly the raw material for at as low as prices. He'd like to ensure that he goes to the areas when crop prices are minimum. If I'm a manager in a food industry, a food processing company, I like to buy tomatoes when prices are minimum. And I like to go where the excess is there. And so totally commercially, totally different. And rural manager is basically is providing remuneration or livelihood to millions or now 150 million rural families. So totally different. And unfortunately, in 1982, when Dr. Varghese Kurian started Institute of Rural Management, purpose was this, because that time there were a lot of management, very prestigious management institutes, still they are there, but they were producing managers for the commercial organizations, producing, basically selling the FMCG product or selling, in his language, soaps and the shampoos.
Right. So, sir, ये बताइए, we will keep lapsing into Hindi and a little bit
Welcome, ji, welcome.
also, because we also want the farmers to watch this. Although आजकल के farmers को English भी आती है, ये बताइए कि ये farmers को गुस्सा क्यों आ रहा है? Why are these people hanging out in such bad weather? Last night we had a bad hailstorm also, but they are not budging, and there seems to be a very strong emotional impulse to it. You shared that little song that these two young women have made, Diliye Sun Diliye, and it's a very emotional song. So where is this emotion coming from? What are they worried about? And then I will ask you, how would you handle it? Because you know that mind better than anybody else.
Shekharji, let me tell you what you see today. This is not only the today's perspective or recent the farmers. I think what today you see is basically the outburst of the farmers, because right from last more than 70 years after the independence, farmers have not got the due share of economic prosperity of India after independence. I'm not blaming any government. I'm not blaming any. You see, when India got independence, average rural family income or urban family income was more or less same. Then India developed, everybody very happy, $3 trillion or $5 trillion. But disparity between the rural farmer income and the urban increase, now today it is 1:5. Indian rural farmer income is only $600 and urban is now $3,000. And it is increasing. So I'm sorry to say that last 70 years or 7 decades, the political leadership, the policy makers, the bureaucracy, or the industries, or the consumers, and also your media has not given the right platform or right, importance to the farmers' issue and their prosperity. So this is a small outburst. I will talk later on this subject, that what, like you said today, it has become more of emotional issue than the rational issue. And जी, like, बच्चे ने जिद पकड़ ली है. Okay, अभी as a parent you have to see whether you have to agree with the jid or you have to persuade him some better thing. Because as a parent you are doing good for him or for her, you know. And intentions are good. Marketing reforms were required last so many decades. Everybody was saying that you are free the industry in 1991. Why farmers are not getting the dues? Why they are not able to sell to anybody they want? A lot of inefficiencies have come in the supply chain. Lot of corruption has come because of monopoly of a government body or the APMCs. But I feel the way it has happened, farmers have not liked it or farmers have not communicated. So, बच्चे ने जिद पकड़ ली है. So now it is up to the parents how to take care of that.
सर, अगर बच्चे ने जिद पकड़ ली है और आप बच्चे के पेरेंट हैं या अंकल हैं, तो आप मतलब पेरेंट है तो आप इसे कैसे संभालेंगे, और अंकल हैं तो आप पेरेंट्स को क्या एडवाइस देंगे कि कैसे संभालो?
डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन, बिकॉज इफ बच्चे ने, आप मानते हुए गलत इशू पे जिद पकड़ लिया तो यू आर मोर रिस्पॉन्सिबल, बिकॉज your upbringing of the bacha last 70 years, this is 70 years, okay, and the way of communication may not be correct, and I think maybe that detailing has not been properly. Intentions are good, but in detailing there may not be problem. अब बच्चे ने जिद पकड़ लिया as a parents, I think it's difficult. अब ultimately बच्चों, parents को झुकना पड़ता है.
But so what you are saying is that in principle, you think these farm laws are good for the farmer,
Yes, yes.
but government has failed to communicate to the farmers, and farmers are suspicious. So maybe it is time right now to step back.
Yeah, but step back also, you have to see the consequences that tomorrow, I mean, it may set a very bad precedent for any, I mean, and it is not only now it has become, besides the farmers' emotional, it has become also slightly political also. So naturally, government has to weigh both the sides. So it's a very tricky position, and I don't know how government is thinking. But whatever we say, intentions have been good. It is required, but one has to see how whatever marketing reforms government has proposed, they are not able to communicate that how farmers will get benefit of it. Because what farmers are getting, industry is going to get benefit. And once industry comes, they are going to exploit farmers. Let me tell you, there are no doubts, if monopoly of industry comes, they are going to exploit farmers. They are not going to give the benefit of value addition to the producer or food producer. See, basically, because their objectives are different. Like you said, any urban managers. So you have to, like in case of milk, or if farmers-owned organization would have been brought in this to marketing reforms or investments that would have been made, and then private industry would have also been invited. So efficiency in the supply chain would have come. And let me tell you here one more thing. I mean, I read a lot. Here, the small farms are there in India which are not efficient, and we should go for big mechanized farms so efficiency come. The big industry will make big farms. Let me tell you, in India, that is not possible.
Yes, that is so.
Simple. Reason is simple. 150 million families are dependent. India is a country of masses, small farms. If you make big farms, what will do with the 150 million people? How you will provide livelihood? You see, one has to differentiate between business and livelihood. Farming is livelihood. So you have to solve through that area. If you make it a business, then it will be in the hands of few people. So, and you don't have alternatives. I mean, 150 million people, how can you provide source of livelihood in urban India? And with lot of automation coming, and the latest is AI, where are the jobs? You become only delivery boys, or you become the call center fellow in the city, or the security guard. What are the jobs? So you need to keep them in the rural India. You have to see that how with low input, low resources, they can maximize the output. You can't compare your productivity with the Israel or USA, Europe की वहां पे इतना होता आपका इतना चाहिए. No chance. आप जितना डालेंगे उतना ही निकलेगा. आपके पास डालने के लिए है ही नहीं. How can you expect you will compete with Israel or Europe or USA?
So how will you increase the incomes of farmers, say, in the Green Revolution Zone? Green Revolution Zone is Punjab, Haryana.
You are right. हाँ बिल्कुल सही है. शेखर जी ऐसा है कि whatever you say, economy has to run on demand and supply balance.
Right.
You can't say that मैं तो पैडी प्रोड्यूस करूंगा, मैं तो शुगर केन प्रोड्यूस करूंगा, चाहे इंडिया में जरूरत है कि नहीं है. Right? You see, right now, India is self-sufficient in food, except 2-3 categories where we are importing a lot. One is this edible oil, 75,000 crore, and lot of pulses. One is that area. So one has to see that how diversification of crop happens. MSP is good. You see, MSP is good, but you have to see you give more MSP in the crops and execute it also, like in edible oil seeds and pulses, where you import. So farmers are. Second is like you overproduce paddy and sugarcane, and then you give subsidies to export it. I don't find. I mean, and also 60% of India's available water is used only for these crops. This paddy, sugarcane. So one is that. Second thing, Shekhar, is very important thing I am telling you. See, what happens is, urban consumer want cheap food. Okay? And when you say cheap food, low inflation, what does it imply? Farmers, the fellow who is producing food, his income should not increase. India's GDP should increase by 7%, but farmers' income should not increase by 7 because that is inflation. And why you want cheap food? Because you want industrial wages to be low. If food price increase, industrial wage, and if industrial wages increase, industry profit will go down. So what is happening? We are subsidizing Indian industry at the cost of food prices.
And we are subsidizing the urban consumer at the cost of the farmer.
Farmer and urban consumer is that there are small, very poor people in urban. By providing them low food, they're able to sustain there in the urban India and can work at the low wages. So first thing is India should not control food prices or food inflation. It should be higher than the GDP. We should not go for the short term. Whenever onion price increase 70, 80 rupees, we import. Only yesterday I was watching on the TV that everybody is worried why groundnut oil prices have gone up. My dear, groundnut is grown in India, Gujarat or in India. We should feel happy that groundnut farmers are getting good price for their produce. Rather whole media is unhappy. India ka kya hoga, groundnut price of oil. So I'm not saying blame to media also. They will not show, they'll show only the one side of the story. I mean, whenever we increase price of milk by 2 rupees, it becomes the headlines of the newspaper.
Absolutely.
And the TV channels will take interviews, housewives standing before the Pizza Hut or the KFC कि हमारा तो बजट गड़बड़ हो गया. अब 2 रुपए 1 लीटर पे महीने में 60 रुपए या 100 रुपए फर्क पड़ा. And you are coming out of a pizza joint by after spending 500 rupees. And you say कि 2 रुपए increase and that 2 rupees going to whom? It is going to the farmer. अगर farmer produce नहीं करेगा तो खाएंगे कैसे? ये लोग सोचते नहीं है. And India can't afford imports with 1.35 billion people today, which will be 1.7 billion people. We have to see that farmers is encouraged to produce more at any cost.
But encouraged to produce more of what will be remunerated for the farmer. So
demand supply.
How do we break out of this wheat, rice, sugar?
Yeah. See, if you see average farmer's income is 7,000 rupees or 6,500 as per NSO.
Per acre?
No, I'm talking per month.
Per month, okay.
Family.
Okay.
Out of that, 48% from the farming or agriculture crop, what you are talking, which is growing at the rate of 3% or 3.5% now. Animal husbandry is only 12%, but growing at the rate of 14%, and then the other remaining. So one has to see that where to invest more. So you should invest more where growth opportunities work more. And animal husbandry is what is producing is basically protein and fat-rich food.
Right.
And in India, with the prosperity coming, consumers have upgraded themselves from carbohydrate diets to more protein and fat-rich, affordable and tasty diet. And animal husbandry, be it milk or poultry or fisheries, it fulfills all these things. So what is required? We should invest in animal husbandry. We should invest more in edible oil. We should invest more in pulses or horticulture or foods where demand is increasing. But how to shift people, farmers of Punjab or Haryana from paddy to these crops? Why not grow more fodder and milk, produce more milk instead of growing a paddy? Milk is a cash crop.
Right. So how do you do that? How do you incentivize the farmer to do that?
First, like I said, you should demand supply is to play. So you should not go for short-term imports or export ban things. Let the market play. If continuously farmers start getting good price for the edible oil or the pulses or the milk or any other product category, they'll be encouraged to produce more. And when you're deciding MSP is a good thing, but more MSP for such product categories. And second is, I'll give you now one thing. Now, if you see the agriculture budget out of the total India's budget, which will be coming on the 1st February, You see, in agriculture budget, animal husbandry contribution to the agriculture GDP is around 27%. But when it comes to spending on animal husbandry by the central or state budget, it is only 6 to 7%. Why? Because it's the old green revolution time, you continue to spend more on fertilizer, 75,000 on crore rupees on fertilizer subsidy, power subsidy, and seed subsidy, and priority loans, and no income tax. So you are not looking into the new avenues, new opportunities, and keep investing in the whole thing. So naturally, if I'm getting free power, MSP, ample of water, subsidized fertilizer, subsidized seeds, priority loan, I should look into other areas. And you see, agriculture is income tax. Let me tell you, dairy, where farmers is smaller than the agriculture, is income tax is there. No priority loan, no
Nice.
subsidy, no power subsidy. Still, they are growing at the rate of what I told you.
14% you said.
Yeah, income, yeah.
Agriculture is less than 2%. Sir, I've seen data. In fact, Harish Damodaran has written also, who's one of our finest agriculture correspondents, that now the value of farm gate value of non-food grain produce is much more than that of grain. So basically, the economics of agriculture is shifting. Why is it not shifting in Punjab?
I told you. There's no reason why you see, I was farmer. Why should I shift? 24 hours, I'm getting free power. Actually, let me tell you, this is not a free. Nothing is free. This free money is coming out of the 8.5% of APMC or other duties I'm paying. So it is
Right.
coming from that. And let me tell you, people say that this extra 8.5 fees paid by the FCA. No, they are not paying. Let me tell you, it goes into their buying cost. And that much budget is allocated for 8.5% commissions only. So if the commission, and you take other states, their commissions are 1%, 2%. If this commission could reduce, that much more MSP can increase.
Right.
Because purchase cost has to be remain same. So what I feel is in Punjab or Haryana, where this paddy and wheat is more prevalent, you have to educate, guide, give more price, more infrastructure, more facilities for the other cash crops or animal husbandry.
So, and the government says, okay, MSP for oil seeds, MSP for dal. But MSP for 23 products, 23 commodities is a joke, because government only buys rice, wheat, and maybe a little bit of this and that, and sugarcane has its own complicated business. So the farmer says that आपने तो नाम के लिए बोल दिया, मक्की का इतना MSP, maize का इतना MSP, maize is used for poultry.
हेलो, हाँ जी, थोड़ा मेरा वॉइस आपका गड़बड़ हो गया है.
अच्छा जी, no worries.
We can continue, sir.
एक मिनट,
Yeah, we
एक
can-
मिनट मेरा थोड़ा.
That's why I'm needing to report the audio.
Are we okay now?
Now okay. My recording is also going, so don't worry. So
Yeah.
there will be two voices, one on this and one on my recorder. No problem.
Don't worry.
We can continue.
Yeah.
No worries. That is not it.
Yeah.
So the farmer says that, look, you may say, but that is just जिसको पंजाबी कहते हैं लारे लाना.
हाँ लारे बिल्कुल सही है.
हाँ.
विश्वास नहीं है ना.
विश्वास नहीं. आपने कह दिया जी कि मेज का इतना है, आपने कह दिया मस्टर्ड का इतना, खरीद नहीं आप
वो
पाओगे.
कागज की है.
हाँ, तो फिर what is the point? So do you think government should now put its wallet where its mouth is and start procuring oil seeds and pulses?
देखो सर, government can look into this. Government can do it. Whatever they can do, it is better. But I'm telling you, oilseed, pulses, and other cash crops, price will go up because demand-supply imbalance is there.
Right.
But what happens is, the day oil prices goes up more than 100, government starts in zero duty. So
Right.
till mid-90s, in edible oil, we had 90% self-sufficiency. And today we are only 30%. Because we feel that if edible oil price goes up, it is inflation. So automatically Punjab farmers, let me tell you, smart enough. Smart enough. If he's ensured that he is going to get good return out of sarson or the groundnut or the cotton, okay, he is going to grow. So what is the assurance? Because he feels today if it's 100 rupees if I grow, tomorrow government will report and will reduce to 70 rupees or 60
So
rupees.
if the government fixes an MSP, which is irrespective of market fluctuations, then government will have to go and buy.
Yeah, government should buy, but let me tell you, it is not easy. I mean, we have seen it because it's not. So I'm again telling, let the demand supply only play. Don't, try to adjust with imports or export ban. Over a period of time, so you can't achieve anything what we are talking in 1, 2, 3 years. What milk self-sufficiency we achieved or what larger, it has not come on 3, 4, 5 years. There was 25 years Operation Flood program by revolution. And same thing was, Indian milk producers were protected against cheap import from Europe by making 25, 30 years plan, and it is continuing.
Right. So, in fact, I also have questions from some of my colleagues and guests. So, my colleague Ramya Nair, who covers business, she wants to know that your company now is the 8th largest milk processor in the world.
Yes, true.
Yeah. Prime Minister talks about making India the 3rd largest milk processor by 2022. Is that possible? And do you see Amul scaling up to that level? Because now you're dealing with competition from MNC.
Yeah. Shekharji, if I give you, Amul was 18th about 5 years back as well world. Today we have 8th. When Prime Minister had come last time to Anand to inaugurate our chocolate factory, that time he has given us challenge that I want to see Amul in first 3 or first 5 of world in next 5 years. So we have taken challenge. And today we are 8th because we are growing at the rate of 8 to 9% in milk processing actually. But all the top companies are not growing.
Right.
So they'll be, so we will definitely achieve it because let me tell you, where growth is there, India is what largest producer of milk, India is what largest market of milk, and India is what fastest growing market for milk and milk products. So we are located in the right place. And also in India, dairy is a livelihood for 100 million rural families. So we have got confidence, one side 100 million families, and the other side 1.35 billion consumers. So that will take us. And let me tell you, Amul is only operating one part of one country. Okay, little bit we are going on. But all these dairy processing companies who are above us in the world ranking, somebody is operating 50 countries, somebody is operating 70 countries. So Amul is the only in a small location. So it shows that masses can also become big if they aggregate and they are linked to the market.
Right. So could Amul do something, say, with oil seeds in Punjab and Haryana?
Well, Shekharji, it is not Amul. What Amul is today is the farmers.
Right.
So farmers have to do it. What I'm telling you is, see, a lot of farmers leaders are emerged during this. Why not farmers leaders demand to the government that we want to make farmers on operation cooperative happier? Give us this money, give us these resources. We'll link our farmers to the market. Instead of going to APMC, just 6,000 or 7,000 APMs all over India, we'll make each village of India mandi. We'll buy it. We'll link through our digital technology the buyers across India, whichever place it is good. So that is the ownership. So somebody has to take and government has to facilitate it.
So that's an Amul model for oil seeds.
Yes. The Amul model is nothing. Farmers should not only produce, they should process and market it under whole own supply chain owned by them. So that can be done in any farm produce.
Yes, sir, but for that you need leadership, for that you need a corporate structure. That is what Amul provided. So why doesn't Amul now, having built such a reputation and experience with milk, why shouldn't Amul now expand into oil seeds, because as you said, we import $10 billion worth of oil seeds or oil, edible oils every year. So why are we buying all this palm oil which is clogging our arteries? उसको मैं कहता हूँ कढ़ाई से coronary तक.
आपको मैं और बताऊं, this imported edible oil GST is 5%.
हाँ जी.
And Indian milk produced fat, which is ghee or butter, is 12% GST. So these are the policies what needs to be reformed. Coming to Amul, see, Amul can do it. This is a model. In milk, we are, like I said, we have got a lot of, I mean, in case of milk, we were only considering Gujarat. Now we are going outside Gujarat. I mean, in Punjab, Haryana, West Bengal, Maharashtra, MP, Rajasthan, and now in Andhra. I mean, we are doing the same thing, collecting milk from the farmers on cooperative basis, processing and selling it, and giving 80% of what we utilize from the consumer back to the farmers. So I think, I mean, we have a lot of things to do in milk also, a lot of opportunities also. Because in case of dairy also, only 1/3 is unorganized, 2/3 is still unorganized. So we have to, I mean, priority-wise, this is there. And second is, like I said, edible oil. Firstly, government has to make a policy how to discourage. I'm very happy the present government for the last 5 years have started encouraging local production by increasing import duties from 0 or 5% to 30 or 35%. I'm very happy. But what I want to request, they should not reverse it. Let it continue.
They should not reverse it. So,
Yeah.
So in my free market world, you will be called a protectionist.
Shekharji, you give me one country which is not protectionist for their agriculture produce. You know, USA, they are giving $860 billion subsidy to the agriculture. And they are only 2% farmer dependent on the agriculture in USA. On dairy, they are giving $85 billion. See, but they are very smart people, WTO-wise. See, my boss, Dr. Varghese Kurian, used to tell me, this WTO is nothing but a tool invented by agriculture-rich or saturated countries to exploit the developing world. So, I mean, government of Gujarat gave us some incentive last year to export some milk because we had a lot of, they have filed 3-4 cases on us. And same Europe is giving last so many years incentives on export, but what you know what they have named it? Storage incentive scheme. They don't call export. So they have stored billions of dollars. They call it storage incentive scheme. So first they store it, for that they give incentive to the farmers and they export because that incentive already been given. So each country is doing. Canada has got 200% duties. You name the country, any country, they have got hefty duties on milk on agriculture produce.
For a moment, I'll stay close to your industry. I also have a question from Mohana Basu, my colleague, that there have been questions about per animal productivity of Indian cattle. And that is where India comes under attack by climate activists, that you are adding to climate problems, methane, that's your cows are burping too much but producing too little milk. What is the answer to that?
Shekharji, this is a very good propaganda by the Western interest because we have stopped them from cheap imports from their countries. Now there's a how to, and India, in spite of their warning, the India will milk deficit, we are growing at much 3 times, 4 times the world average. Methane or environment, let me tell you, this earth owns by whom? Everybody on this earth, irrespective of country borders. So I've got the same right of methane emission what a resident of USA has got. Okay, now you take data. Per capita methane emission is how much in USA, how much in Europe, and how much in India. You see, you want to import bhindi or green vegetables from Kenya into the London bazaar, and they say there's no methane emission, and my farmer with 2 animals producing around 10 liters of milk and producing 20 liters of cow dung, and he's doing a lot of methane emission. First, you please see how much you are doing. And let me tell you, this methane emission or environment comes after livelihood. They have achieved the livelihood. Here, question of livelihood is there. That farmer may not be doing what is methane or immediately with the environment. So, I mean, you can't compare. You can't compare.
Now, several people have asked this question, including my colleagues, Samyak Pandey, Mona Basu, a couple of the others, that an animal is a farmer's economic asset. A cattle, a head of cattle is an economic asset. Now you keep getting into trading bans, slaughter bans. I mean, which farmer is going to then keep these cattle as liabilities to be fed forever? Because everybody has an age. Human beings also can't produce babies after a point.
No, Shekhar sir, this is a economic cycle where, I mean, you calf is there, you rear it, you milk it for 6-7 lactation, and then you want to dispose of it. So as far as buffalo is there's no ban.
Right.
Cow there because of religious sentiments. And a lot of cow shelters come. But let me tell you now, new technologies come, which we are propagating is sex semen.
Right. So that means you only get female babies.
It is opposite to the human being. So now what we are propagating has started producing sex semen, when 95% chances are that you will get the female calf. So that is, you have to keep in mind that
ऐसा इंसानों को नहीं सिखा देना, नहीं तो हमारे दुनिया में फीमेल ही खत्म हो जाएंगी. अरे बंदे ही बंदे बचने, फिर क्या होएगा?
Ultimately, demand supply will play in the long run.
Sir, लेकिन even then, if you have a cow, even if you get 95% cows, at some point that cow ceases to be an economic.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
What do you do with the cow then?
You see, if religious bodies or sentiments are saying that you can't slaughter, you need to have cow shelters, you need to have budget for that, you need to spend money. So both things have to go hand in hand.
But then you have to pay the farmer for the cow, no?
Yeah.
Because the cow has an economic value.
Bilkul. So that, you see, that is when the religious sentiments come, there are no arguments.
Right.
See, economic activity and religious are totally different. And there is a thin line in between.
So what is the farmer doing? Is the farmer then preferring buffalo over the cow because at least buffalo?
Yeah. You're right. You are right. Now buffalo production is growing. Earlier, cow used to grow. Last few years, we have seen the milk production of buffalo milk is increasing.
So do you have
farmers are doing more for buffalo? Yeah.
Do you have any data right now of how buffalo milk is increasing?
I mean, whatever, like we get milk. I give example. 1982, when I joined Amul, we used to get 80% buffalo milk, 20% cow milk.
Right.
Then it reduced to around 50 over the last 38 years, 55-56% buffalo and 44. Now again, this year, last few years, we have seen our buffalo milk production has gone up to around 58-59%. So gradually it increasing. And you see, let me tell you, whatever people say, buffalo milk has more nutritious, more milk solid, more sweeter, more calcium. I feel it is more healthy. You can see the health of the people who are consuming more buffalo milk. And farmers per liter cost of buffalo milk is 50% more than the cow milk. Right. And also let me tell you, whatever people talk, आप दिल्ली में बैठे हैं, कहीं में भी बैठे हैं, the sale of our buffalo milk is going 3-4 times higher than the cow milk. People come, start consuming, over a period of time, they start shifting more toward buffalo milk.
तो सर एक नई बात है आजकल के, जो देसी काऊ का दूध लीजिए, उसमें A2 होता है, वो क्या सच्चाई है?
देखिए, scientifically, I mean, A2 milk started from where? New Zealand.
I see.
Because New Zealand and market was saturated, Europe also. So it is a marketing gimmick ki how to, if in this competition, how to increase my sale. So somebody launched A2 milk. Kya A2 milk kya ki A2A1 is a basically type of protein in the milk.
In the milk, yes.
And there are, let me tell you, no scientific evidence that A1 milk is better or A2 milk is better.
Right.
अच्छा, but फिर मैं बताता हूँ. You please rest assured in India, what you are drinking is A2 milk only. Reason is all buffalo milk is A2 protein milk.
I see.
100%. All Indian cow milk is 100% A2 milk. All HF crossbred cow, 50% A2, 50% A1. So in India, 90% of milk produced is
A2 milk.
A2. So if somebody is charging you premium, it is because of their marketing genius. Otherwise, no health benefit, no nutrition benefit. We are also selling. Let me tell you, we are also selling.
You are selling, now you are selling immunity boosting milk also with healthy in it.
I mean, milk as such is an immunity booster.
Right.
Any milk you want to take.
But recently you also fought a war on behalf of milk because milk was under attack. That was a strange phenomenon. Tell us about that.
You see, milk, like somebody asked me a question because there are two things, this Western interest lobby, that plant, suddenly you see, they started promoting plant-based milk. I don't call them, it's a plant-based beverages. And there are two aspects. One is cruelty, which you already touched. They're producing milk is cruelty. The second, they say cow or buffalo milk is not nutritious. As coming to the first issue of cruelty, see that India, each farmer is having 2 to 3 animals which are part of their family. Right. They keep it at home. They call it by name, Ganga, Jamna. And we feed to the cow and buffalo what is left over after our consumption. They are not burden on us. Okay, so we give them bath, we take them out for grazing, and we milk. It's economic. You feed them, you take care of, they give you milk for your family, so you can take of your family. You take cow and her family, and then she takes. She's like a mata, Gau Mata. Okay. So what cruelty they're talking, maybe they're talking about the Western world, there are 1,000 cow farms, they show pictures of that only. Now come to nutrition. You just, आप शेखर जी कल ना एक पैक वो बाजार में सोया मिल्क और आलमंड मिल्क था उसका लीजिए, एक अमूल मिल्क का पैक लीजिए, just read the ingredients. Milk will show only one ingredient, milk. It can be full cream, it can be toned, only one ingredient. And if you take this so-called PB almond or soya, there are 6 lines of ingredients, starting from vegetable oil, sucrose, flavors, stabilizer, emulsifier, chemicals, 22 to 24. These are nothing. This is not milk. It is factory manufactured chemical material. And nutrition-wise, this almond milk which is sold 3 to 4 times more cost than milk is not even 1/10 of our milk. So this is all Western lobbying. Foreign funded lobbies are working in India. And in India, you see, as per law, milk can only from bovine, cow, buffalo, or whatever other things. You can't write milk. It's criminal. But still these people are writing soya milk, almond milk, or oat milk.
It's like the French would not let you call any other sparkling wine champagne.
Yeah. Then tomorrow these people will say that gold-plated silver jewelry should be called also golden jewelry, and you should get the hallmark. It's like that.
So from where did this attack come? Because a lot of the well-meaning animal rights activists also got into it, and they say that you are stealing the milk away from the calf. बेचारे बछड़ी को आप या बछड़ी को आप भूखा मार रहे हैं और गाय का दूध, भैंस का दूध आप चोरी कर रहे हैं.
देखिए, पहले मैंने एक्टिविटी से पहली बात तो इट्स अ मनी थिंग. It's the money, because a lot of money is there. So those industries or foreign industries are all is imported. Let me tell you, all is imported. So they are funding. Second is, देखिए वो बोलते हैं कि आप काफ को अलग ले जा रहे हैं. Now ask any veterinary scientific. each calf needs around 200 to 300 ml when born, up to 800 to 9 ml milk for that. And cow is giving 5, 6, 7, 10 liters of milk or buffalo. And my veterinary scientist, if you don't milk, that milk in udder will become poisonous. And if calf comes and drinks it, it will be very poisonous and he or she can die. So basically it is give and take. So you tell me, there are 300 million cows and buffalo in India, which these 100 million farmers are feeding every day. If I'm not getting milk or economic value, why I should feed? And these 300 million cows and buffalo will die out of hunger because I'm not getting feed. Is it not cruelty? And I asked them, you see, these people, have you gone to any village and seen the cow and buffalo? I mean, you don't know which side is the udder. And you are talking with cruelty. And I asked them one very jokingly one question. I said, you have become very intelligent. Your arguments are very good. When you go back, just ask one question to your mother, that how come you have got such a sharp brain? What do you gave me in my childhood? It must be milk only.
Right.
So milk protein brings your brain very sharp. And because of those sharpness they acquired during childhood by drinking milk, now they're against milk because of vested interest.
Yeah. So now I know that you have to go. So before that, let me take you back to the farmer situation. If the Prime Minister called you and said, Mr. Sodhi, I have this problem. A lot of it is in Punjab. You come from there. In fact, you are a Dada Punjabi. You, as we say, you come from deep Punjab, right from the heart of Malwa. Also, it's the angriest part of Punjab generally. So how will you resolve this for me? Go to Punjab and resolve it for me. What will you do? Give me your first 3 or 4 or 5 steps.
I think one has to convince them that how farm reforms are going to increase their income without impacting their existing income. I mean, there's no doubt you can't say you're not at MSP. Okay, MSP has to be given, which government has also ensured.
Right.
Then side by side, why don't you start giving good price for the other cash crop or the imported crop? You see, it's a very high level of convincing, and emotionally you have to do it. Some emotional solution has to come.
So, sir, if you were to go to Singhu border and we put you on a tractor trolley, and you are not speaking for the government, you speak as a friend of the farmer. So, give us your friends, Romans, and countrymen speech from top of the friends, farmers, and countrymen.
Shekhar, is very difficult because, see, people, rationality has been lost. I mean, nobody is going to buy your, however good arguments are there. So, like you said in the beginning, parents को थोड़ा झुकना पड़ेगा.
हाँ जी. Parents, तो आप अगर emotional message देंगे वहाँ पर, you can tell me in Punjabi and Hindi both. What will be your emotional message now?
इस तरह शेखर जी, ਇਹ ਬੜਾ डिफिकल्ट है कि ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਹੱਕਾਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਲੜ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਐਂਡ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਵੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਹੱਕ ਪ੍ਰੋਟੈਕਟ ਹੋ ਕਰਨਾ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ, ਪਰ ਮੇਰੇ ਖਿਆਲ ਨਾਲ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਫਾਰਮਰਸ, ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਦੇਖੋ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ farmers ਨੂੰ positive side ਲਿਆਣਾ ਪਏਗਾ ਕਿ how they have been exploited. And what government has taken is one step to reduce that exploitation, which has been happening for the last 70 years. You can't give it, and especially industry, that argument you can't use that if industry comes, farmers will get benefit. That is a negative argument because there are no parallel in the world. Wherever industries are entered into the farming, farmers have been exploited.
So that suspicion is deep.
Because, you give me example in India, lot of food processing industry has gone to the Punjab They have started buying a lot of tomatoes. And what part of value addition they are given to the farmers? They don't share. They don't share the wealth. The industry has to realize that if I'm in electrical or consumer durable or soaps or shampoo, it is up to me how much. But if I'm in the food processing, I need to share my wealth with the producer of food. That commitment has to come from the industry. And I think maybe during the drafting of this law, that industry viewpoint has been more taken care than the farmers.
Right. Because there are other industries besides Ambani, Adani, who actually are very deeply already invested in farm produce, like say ITC.
देखिए, Shekhar ji, let me also tell you, Indian food industry or no Indian present industry can monopolize. Because simple is, food is produced by masses, food is consumed by masses. And this is the best sector where you can bring MSP, who can aggregate, who can open the collection center at the village. These artisans can open collection center.
Right.
In case of milk, in each village, there are 2-3 collection centers. There are more than 3 lakh mandis. And there are no big investments required. There's no technology required, like iPhones or other thing, or telecommunication. So please, one should not be afraid that any industry can monopolize.
Right.
So I think more one has to play is on demand and supply, creating and more increasing the price. Price, हमने दूध में सीखा है, अच्छा प्राइस दो, दूध अपने आप आएगा.
हाँ जी.
आपको और कुछ नहीं करना. And you have to facilitate.
And government has to then fundamentally get committed to not intervening to bring consumer prices down when they go up.
Long-term decision.
Long-term.
And confidence will come over a period of time.
Right. For example, every year we see this boom-bust cycle with onions. You either start imports or you ban exports.
अब immediately जैसे आपने ban export किया, prices गिर जाएंगे, और you import, then prices गिरेंगे. तो farmers who cultivated, they'll be at the loss. So वो जाएंगे safe crop, paddy, MSP पक्का है.
इसमें गलती मीडिया की भी है, क्योंकि जैसे ऑनियन प्राइस बढ़ता है, आंखों से आंसू आ रहे हैं, हाउस वाइफ का क्राइंग, और हाउस वाइफ में देखता हूँ जो जिसको मर्जी पकड़ लेते हैं, कोई ऐसा नहीं लगता है कि उसका 100 रुपए महीने में खर्चा बढ़ गया है प्याज के ऊपर, तो फैमिली बजट विल बी.
मीडिया इज आल्सो बिजनेस एंड व्यूअर्स आर टीआरपी, उनको टीआरपी चाहिए. टीआरपी विल कम अगर ऑनियन के प्राइस की बात करोगे.
ऑनियन की प्राइस बढ़ने की,
हाँ, तो उनको वही करना पड़ता है. So it's a business model. So but actually, leave aside media. It's the policy makers have to think.
Right. So before I let you go now, I asked you what speech will you give from top of the trolley at Singhu border. But what is it that you will tell the government, central government, कि अब क्या करो?
देखिए, मैंने आपको पहले बोला, ये एक इतना difficult situation है कि I mean, I really respect all our political leadership. I mean, nobody had thought that it will become so big and emotional. Solution is, you see, it has to come totally different. And I don't have any solution, let me tell you.
No, but you said कि parents को कुछ झुकना पड़ेगा. कितना झुकना?
मैं तो डांसता है. जितनी बच्चा आ गया.
हाँ, जितनी बच्चा आ गया, तो उसके लिए अब टोटल सरेंडर करना पड़ेगा उसके सामने.
नहीं, टोटल सरेंडर करो, पार्शियल सरेंडर करो, कन्विंस हिम और हर, थोड़ा चुको, थोड़ा कन्विंस करो, थोड़ा और चीजें वर्क लाओ, और बेनिफिट. एंड देन हाउ टू टेक आउट, एक्चुअली पॉलिटिक्स बहुत आ चुके हैं. हाउ टू टेक आउट पॉलिटिक्स आउट ऑफ द, सो रैशनैलिटी हैज फिनिश्ड, इमोशंस एंड पॉलिटिक्स हैज टेकन ओवर देन द रैशनैलिटी.
But you think in principle the farmer of Punjab and Haryana will benefit if they liberate themselves from wheat and rice?
Definitely, 100%. 100%. Because, I mean, that is the, I mean, how long you can expect that in petty will keep subsidizing, spending money on water and other thing, power. When today and tomorrow you have to do it.
Okay, Sodhi sir, about 20 years back, Punjab was the richest state in the country. Now it's number 10 or 11. Why is that happening? Although Punjab, they say that, look, we give jobs to so many Biharis, they come here because we are a rich state.
We have made Canada rich.
Kis tarah ji?
We have made Canada. We are finding better. We go to Canada and grow there everything.
So just
No, you're right. You see, you're right. Because I remember during childhood days when I go to Punjab or villages and come out of when I came to Rajasthan, other for studies, lot of difference was there.
Ji, haan ji, haan ji.
But now I find villages of Gujarat are much better than the villages of Punjab.
Right. So
It is basically overprotection of Punjab farmers by not encouraging to diversify into other agriculture crops or other animal husbandry sector.
Sir, this is a very strange irony that Punjabis protect the rest of the country from the world, and we have got them imprisoned in protected farming.
Yeah.
And
So
what you're saying is, if I understand correctly, that just as you might give jobs to people coming in from Bihar at reasonable wages, and it suits you because they work at wages lower than what Punjabis will charge you, you then, on the other hand, send your children to Canada to work as cheap labor there.
Yeah. So it is but opportunity cost. I mean, I get $50 there. Here I get $1.50 labor. So why should I? I mean, it's opportunity cost.
Right. So it is just arbitrage, nothing else.
Yeah.
So, sir,
But this also show that Punjab farmers, the Punjab youth is very, very entrepreneurial.
right.
But only thing is you have to show them the way. They'll do it.
But you don't order them and say, "Ki beta ye karo, this is good for you."
हाँ, ये आपको इकोनॉमिकली पहले करना चाहिए था, इकोनॉमिकली करके दिखाना चाहिए था.
Right. So that is what you have to do now. Because, if I remember Green Revolution also, people like Dr. Randhawa, who were from Punjab, Dr. Joel after that, these
Yeah,
were
Joel.
people who went out and convinced farmers about Green Revolution. So you need
I remember during my childhood, IR Act at WC 357, we have shifted from local bills to that.
right.
But you see, the fertilizer subsidy or power subsidy or seeds, these are crutches. You have to say, farmer, you have to come out of the crutches. Ab dekhiye, any subsidy has to be one time, like in case of animal husbandry. Operational flood, 1,000 crore, 25 years, then out. अभी यहाँ तो हर साल बढ़ता जा रहा है.
Right. And it's a trap. So do you think at the end of it, after all this churning, I know that you dairy walas like the word churning. Aap churning karte hain. After all this churning, something good will come out of it?
One thing is good, that everybody has recognized the importance and power of farmers. In future, any decision, if anybody policy maker, they have to keep in mind that farmers are not, you can take them granted. And they have been deprived. They have not got the share of wealth which they deserve. And we need to, if 60% of India is in rural India, overall policy has to be towards that only.
Right. So, Rizab, thank you very much. We've had a marvelous conversation. I wish we could drag you from your safe pastures, sorry, I'm again using it term, to Singhu border, or maybe mediate between the government and the farmers, because what is needed is trust. And what the farmers trust is institutions and people who have delivered in their interest. That's why people like you and institutions like yours are so valuable. And that's the reason we reached out to you. And thank you very much for your time. And I promise to let you go just in time for when you have to leave for Gandhinagar. And I think we've kept to that time.
Thank you, Shekharji. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Sorry, sir.